Director. He's the new Regional Sales Director of Bitglass for Australia and New Zealand. Welcome to the program.
Thanks very much, Alex. It's great to be with you today.
So Wayne, can you please tell us a bit about Bitglass and what a total cloud security platform means in 2021?
Yes, absolutely. So what we've seen happen in the world is tremendous changes in terms of how we work and where information such as applications and data is stored. New regulations coming in with government around the protection and access to that data. And effectively what it's done combined with COVID has really accelerated the rate of change. That's really put almost every organization's information at risk. And so it's become much harder for IT security professionals to protect their people, their data and their apps. And that's the problem that Bitglass is trying to solve.
So can you tell us more about the specific security features that Bitglass focuses on?
Yes. So people would be used to having firewalls and gateway security within their data center. And that's served organizations reasonably well, but it is CapEx and expensive and intensive. It's expertise and resource intensive as well. As soon as organizations go and take their apps and data and effectively put them offsite, put them in a cloud, then they become a lot more vulnerable. And what Bitglass has developed is a framework and a set of tools to enable them to protect those assets, but also be able to manage the access that their own people have to it and keep their own people safe, and also allow people who may not be within their own organizations, such as business partners or customers, to access that data as well, be able to control, monitor, and keep that whole experience clean.
And I'm assuming that you've got, multi-factor authentication, login, passwordless access or zero trust sort of things, and also the whole idea about least privilege access environments, so that people aren't overprivileged, which the bad guys, if they can get access to the account, could take advantage of.
Yes, exactly. Virtually all of the above. And the great thing is that all of that work is done behind the scenes, and it's kept relatively simple and transparent to the users, and to ensure that the experience is safe. And it's another thing that we've seen as companies have tried to solve this problem. They've often fallen into the trap of not optimizing the use of the infrastructure that's out there. And one of the things that's led to is not all of these services that protect people when they're using the cloud and protect their data and apps have effectively achieved a high system availability rate, and that's absolutely key. So the Bitglass platform is differentiated in a number of ways. One of the key ones is that it can provide very high sustained performance, and it's independently audited and validated for uptime. And we're pleased to say that since 2013, our services have been independently audited to provide 99.99% availability. We don't know of anyone else who's been able to achieve that at this point.
And so just for those people who don't know exactly how Bitglass works, is it a cloud service that integrates with other cloud services, with an on-prem availability for hybrid environments, that acts as a authentication and security layer to anybody else's major cloud platform?
Yes, it operates in the cloud, but it also provides a secure web gateway feature. It provides CASB, otherwise known as Client Access Secure Broker. And I know that's that acronym. What it really means is that it's making sure that your users and even those who are on BYOD or even unmanaged devices are acting in a way and complying with the policies you set as well. So there's no hardware to buy or administer for the customer. They simply buy our service as a license, depending on how many people they're trying to protect and what level of protection they want to provide them. And all of the admin and costs that goes into CapEx and administration is no longer required.
And when did Bitglass start, and what did it start with?
Bitglass started back around about early 2013, and it started helping people understand what their end users and customers and partners were doing when they were using cloud apps from a particular customer. So the old shadow IT problem, bringing a bit of light onto that shadow.
So are there any Australian or regional customers that you'd like to highlight?
Look, there's one that I'd like to talk about without naming. They're a university. They're in this region. They actually have purchased Bitglass, but they're using it in a way that is helping them understand better how their people are actually using their cloud services and data and applications. They're a large BYOD environment. Most of their users are completely unmanaged. It's really interesting to see what is starting to come out of the research they're doing with that. And our US teams are also involved in keeping an eye on what's going on there, and we hope to learn from it ourselves.
Yeah, well, you often get the best ideas and suggestions from user feedback and user usage scenarios, and especially ones that are novel or slightly different to what people normally buy Bitglass for, because it all feeds into the next version, which as a cloud service your techs are always working on.
Yeah, exactly. And look, I think Australian users do tend to drive things early and hard, and they want to know that they're working with an organization that's got the capability to be able to respond to that. We're seeing more and more countries bring in guidelines and rules for how data should be treated and how it should be accessed and who should be accessing it. And we expect that will become more regulated over time, and platforms like Bitglass are a great way for people to start complying with some of those codes immediately.
And this is a question you ask a lot of companies these days, but given the massive acceleration in digital transformation that and the move to the cloud that 2020 saw thanks to COVID, what lessons are Bitglass and the business community continuing to learn from this evolving situation, which must have seen a big jump in people needing your services to secure all those devices and workers?
You're absolutely right, and it's created a tremendous amount of demand for what we're doing. What we've actually seen is the number of companies that have asked their employees with the advent of COVID to work remotely has gone from about 5% of companies had a high proportion of workers working from home to when COVID has occurred, it's something like 75%.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
I guess the less cars we see on the road, we've pretty much can assume that those people are either at home or in a cafe or somewhere else, perhaps on the beach if the weather's good.
Yeah.
Working.
And look, as we're recording this, there's a lockdown in the Australian city of Perth for a few days because of a outbreak over there. And in Melbourne, where they're about to have the Australian Open, somebody else caught the UK strain of the virus from a Medi hotel, one of the guards, who was supposedly doing everything correctly. And, the return to work in Melbourne has been delayed. So, I mean, this new normal still hasn't figured out what its level is yet. It's still wildly fluctuating. So what are your priorities for Bitglass in 2021?
Well, we've got some customers here already. We've got some channel partners here already as well. We're very committed to making our customers and partners successful. And so the immediate focus is going on what we need to do there and helping those people secure their businesses better and helping those partners build out their businesses, particularly as businesses change so much. Today's a good example. I was in Canberra flying down, we'd be meeting face to face in an office somewhere, but we're not. I don't know when I'll next be flying to Canberra due to COVID, and so video is serving us very well.
And look, as we get towards the end of the interview, it's always nice to learn a bit about you. And can you please tell us a little bit about your history in the world of tech, and also what was your first computing memory and experience as a youngster, all those years ago?
Well, I did start my career in a technical role with one of the large telcos, Telstra. No surprises there. And then moved into work for an American outsourcer in a large Australian insurance company. That actually, through that experience, we were doing some very new things, and I got to be exposed to a local Australian startup company based in Sydney, and joined them when they were 45 people.
Floor.
Yes, 45 people, and we were literally working in above a automatics transmissions workshop in a car in a standalone premises. There was nothing fancy about it.
That would have been noisy.
It certainly was. And you had to be careful when you walked out the front door that you didn't get run over. So I developed a passion for working with companies and particularly engineers. There were two really well-achieved engineers who started that business up. And I kind of fell under their spell a bit. I would literally go speak with our customers, and they really were the largest organizations. Imagine the largest bank, the largest airline. And they would tell me, can you ask your two engineering guys, who they had tremendous respect and trust with, to build me one of these? And I would come back 6 months later, and sometimes with a shoebox with flashing lights and a power cord hanging out the back, and say, here's the power type, don't get yourself the prototype. Please don't electrocute yourself in using it. And so that always stuck with me. Some of those people have achieved tremendous fame. One of them had developed some 802.11 technology and sits to have some influence with where the funds from those royalties are invested to help other startups.
Very nice.
And following that, of course, all good. That company was acquired. And then I moved to several American startups throughout my career. Then I did 5 years with Blue Coat Systems, and then another 3 years with Silver Peak Systems. And most recently, I did 6 years with Nutanix here in Australia. So very, very fortunate, I feel, to be involved with those organizations. I really admire the American culture for trying, knowing that success is never guaranteed, and failure is a learning exercise.
It's not final.
It's not final. Yes, you will get well afterwards. And it's not in the Australian culture, it's not always accepted. But if you're doing your best, as I was able to do by almost all of the companies I've worked for, and I thank them for their culture, and I see that culture very much today in Bitglass. And it's one of the big attractions for me to be at Bitglass. I'd like to think that whilst we call it developing a company, I feel we're developing a community, a family, with our employees, with our customers and our partners. And yes, we want to be there for the good times, but we also have to be there for the bad times as well. And it takes a special culture to do that.
And so what was your first computer when you were growing up?
It was a Commodore VIC-20.
Ah, yes, 83. Those were the days. The Trash 80, the TRS-80, the Apple IIs, the first IBMs, and the VIC-20. So I always like to then talk about the future and how do you think the industry will transform over the next few years through to 2030, and how do you think total cloud security will evolve?
Yeah, look, it's a great question. I think I've got a lot more to learn about everything in life.
As do we all.
So I offer my opinion with that caveat. One thing that I'm particularly struck by is the autonomous vehicle. I think is something that
exciting.
Most of us are underrated in terms of its impact. Transport as a service, it will truly change the world. In a very good way, I think, change our cities. We'll see these lost, ugly car parks turn into hopefully more useful things. We will hopefully see a lot less traffic on the roads. We'll see a reduction, hopefully, in accident-damaged people. We'll see insurance companies change dramatically. We'll see petrochemical companies and change. We'll see the world hopefully become a greener place for all of us, and hopefully we'll see certain illnesses reduce as a result of that as well. But the one thing I think that's closer to what we do at Bitglass is when you're driving down that motorway and there's literally a computer or 100 computers at the wheel, the last thing you want in your car at that time is a hacker.
Absolutely.
So how Bitglass evolves to solve that problem, I'm not really sure about at this point in time, but I'm sure we'll have some part in that equation somewhere. But I really believe we've got a tremendous capability within the company to adapt as our customers' needs require us to.
So my second last question always looks from the future to the past. To simply ask, what's the best piece of advice you've ever received in life to help you get where you are today?
So, I just think having a go, the Australian adage, and don't be critical of others who have had a go and didn't quite turn out the way that it did. I think and staying positive and treating people with the same respect that you would like to be treated with. And that's something for life, whether you're working for an IT company, a construction company. Many of the things that we have, we can create a culture within an IT company. We can all uphold that. And it takes investment and training and effort to all of us, no matter what age or where we've come from. Most of us are migrants, no matter where we are, to want to do things better, be better people, produce better outcomes. I think it's a continual learning process, and I hope that it never changes to be that.
That's right. Well, thousands of years of history have brought us to here, and I always like to say that no matter how advanced we think we are, we're really still, at least in 2021, we're still in the black and white era of technology compared to what science fiction has shown us is out there and possible. And I mean, we're so advanced yet so primitive at the same time. It just shows that the best is yet to come, and if you look at it from that glass half full point of view, it's very exciting. So, what is your final message to iTWire viewers and readers, and to your current and future customers and partners?
Well, I think remain ever diligent, particularly around the area of IT security. Come and spend some time with us, whether it's at one of our functions or on our website at www.bitglass.com. There's the advertising piece. And if you feel that what we're doing may be able to help you, then we run a lot of demonstrations. We run a lot of evaluations. We can do all that remotely, thankfully, due to COVID. Let's see how we can help you. We like to be quite candid in what we can and can't do as it applies to your particular problem, and we listen. It's the last thing you want to do is hear a spiel about a product. You want someone who's going to first understand what problem have you really got versus what you might think you have, and how can we prove that, and then we can start talking about solutions from there.
Well, Wayne Neich, Regional Sales Director of Bitglass for Australia and New Zealand, thank you very much for your time, and I hope we can speak again.
Yeah, thanks, Alex. I've really enjoyed this morning, and I wish you well with your program and your ventures, and it's been fun. And thank you for the lesson on learning a few things about my iPhone 12 that I didn't know about.
Yeah, that was before we started the interview, but thank you very much again, and talk to you next time. Bye-bye.
All the best. Bye-bye.